welcome to another episode of Ask Dr. Wu. Today we're going to talk about patient compliance or client compliance. This one's really tailored for all of the trainers that are out there and coaches out there, and we're going to kind of talk about some of our successful ways of keeping patient compliance or / client compliance. So the number one is, there's no secret to this. The number one thing that I would say is you as the doctor, you as the trainer have to be the touchstone, right? You have to practice what you fucking preach. Would you ever go to a doctor that was smoking and was like 500 pounds and then he was going to tell you, look, we need you to stop smoking and we need you to stop eating so much? Yeah, of course not, right?
Good analogy I always use is, would you go to the dentist with wooden teeth?
No, absolutely not. Right?
It's not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. You have to be, preaching. You got to be doing what you're preaching. You got to be making sure and being mindful of what you're practicing yourself. And for all of my doctors that work for me, we are always talking about what is your practice like right now? What are you training? What are you training on your off days? What are you doing to keep yourself fit? And if you're not exactly doing exactly what you're saying, you're going to just lose the client. You're going to lose the patient.
Absolutely. One of the biggest lacking things I see in the field, just from a personal training standpoint, is, I went to a seminar just recently. It was a room full of 1,000 trainers, and for the fact that they would leave their business and go there already means they were already in the top percentile that they would invest in their education.
Right.
The question was quite simple. He asked the entire room, how many people in here are in the best shape that you've ever been?
Yeah.
It was about 3 people in the room that raised their hand. Okay.
Right.
The second question was, how many people in here have a coach?
Right.
About 3 people raised their hand.
Yeah.
And so, essentially, we sell and do something that we don't utilize ourselves.
Right.
Is what it comes down to. And so, that, just to piggyback off of what Dr. Wu just said, continue to invest, guys. Find mentors. Find practitioners that can help keep you accountable.
Right.
Use those resources right in your own town, and that will make a big difference in your own practice and what you're able to relate to clients. 100%.
Now, the second thing that I generally do is I'm just honest. I'm brutally honest with all of my patients. Now, if you ever come to me and you have an issue, let's just use your hip as an example, and I notice, and we're measuring, and I think that's another side note, which is you have to have objective measures when you're measuring and seeing clients, right?
You don't check. If you don't, what gets measured gets managed.
Right, exactly.
If you don't have a baseline.
Right. So if you don't measure it, you don't have a baseline. So where are you starting if you don't know where you're starting from? So having an objective measure is really important. But if I look at your hip and we do our objective measure of your hip and it's a shitty hip, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just going to say, look, this is the reason why you generally have hip pain. It's because you have a shitty hip. You have to be honest with your clients or your patients, because they'll know if you're not being honest.
Yeah, but you can't lift his leg. They know.
Exactly.
They couldn't do the rehab exercise. So.
Right. So being honest with them and then providing them the framework to get to the place where they need to be. Show them what they could be doing. And this goes back to my first rule, which is practice what you preach, right? So if I have good hip mobility and I can show them what good hip mobility looks like. If you're telling this patient you have shitty hips, but then you're like, I can't demonstrate what an actual good hip looks like, well, you've already lost them, right?
You lost them. That's value.
Exactly. Right. So number 2 is just making sure that you have objective measures and you're being honest as much as possible with your patients and your clients. And then the last thing that we would talk about is giving little wins. Little wins, successes, right? Now, look, I get lots of patients that come in that aren't very mobile, and I know that this is going to be an uphill battle. But I always make sure that I can chunk it down so that we get these little wins every single day. Absolutely. Because people change incrementally over a short time, right? Or a very long time. So it's It's small incremental progress over a long period of time. I love to say this, which is we overestimate what we can do in 3 weeks. We underestimate what we can do over a year. So think about it I generally chunk it down to like, this is what we need to get to in a week. This is what we need to get to in 3 weeks. This is what we need to get to in 3 months. And chunking those and having those little wins really helps with patient compliance.
Yeah, guys, success leads to more successes. So whatever metric that is and whatever has to happen for that to become a success for that individual, it's up to the practitioner to be able to isolate and find out just via interaction, talking, and knowing what they can comply with. If you give them something and they don't have access to it, it's not going to happen. But they come back in 1 week, you're mad, they're mad because their hip still hurts. So, or vice versa, even if it's from a nutritional standpoint with a personal trainer, just give them simple guidance. Start with something small. Maybe start with breakfast. I mean, if they tell you 10 out of 10 that they can do it, then that's a goal. And hold them accountable to that over the next 7 days. And hey, maybe they come back and say, I only did 6, but the next week it will be 7. And then they're going to lunch clean. And then you didn't even have to tell them that, but it's just a byproduct of having that small success.
And that's the last thing that I actually want to round this out with, which is I have extremely high expectations of everything. I have high expectations of my doctors, and I have high expectations of my patients. I expect them to be at a certain level. If you're not holding your clients or your patients to an accountable, measurable goal to get to, then what are we doing here? I mean, why are you a therapist? Why are you a coach if you're not doing these things, right?
True. Absolutely. I mean, results have to be measured, have to be tracked to just not only show the individual the services that we provide and how we can quantify that. And I guarantee you guys that turns into more referrals. That turns into more people through your doors.
Exactly.
If you do that in just the back end paperwork, hold them accountable, keep them consistent, and allow them to have those small wins and successes, they're going to send people through the door.
All right, so Jmac, how would somebody get a hold of you?
Guys, we're located right here in the heart of Uptown. We're on Cedar Springs in Oak Lawn, right inside the Central Building, Suite 200. We'll put our website right down below, www.trainvibe.com. Swing by, check out our facility, give us a shout. Always welcome to come in and get a workout in, guys.
All right, and if you guys need to get a hold of me, you already know all my social media stuff is probably going to be right here. And thanks for hanging out with us. Move free, humans.
All right, see ya.